final Swiss round. It is going to be Future versus Ancient. We've got the Roaring Moon up against this Future Box Iron Hands, Turbo Iron Hands, whatever you call it. The past and the future are colliding here in round 15.
The ultimate, theming perfect last Swiss round here. We have, again, Future versus Past. We have Iron Hands against Roaring Moon. We have the Ancient and Future clash. Which one's going to come out on top? Only one of them can. Well, unless they tie, but in theory, only one of them could come out on top. Only one could have the potential to make top 8. And what a showdown this is going to be.
Lots to discuss. These lists are very interesting. I think Andre's list is not one that a lot of players expected. We saw sort of this Ancient Box deck play things like Koraidon at times, but there is just Roaring Moon. Andre's devoted to this Ancient Roaring Moon Pokemon and some fun inclusions. Freya, would you have expected to see the Dunsparce potentially in a top 8 deck at EUIC?
I mean, I wouldn't be mega surprised, but I would be like, oh, okay, you know what, fair enough, because I always thought the card had potential. I just didn't quite know how it did, and I guess now I have my answer.
Yeah, I think a lot of people I've been talking to have said people are sleeping on this card. You draw 3, and not only do you do that, but you shuffle it back in and get to use that ability later on. It puts better cards into your deck. You can always recycle Dunsparce with something like an Artisan, which we are actually seeing not a lot of Stadium cards. Or actually, there are, exactly. Andres is playing heavy copies of that Artisan, so understands what he wants to do. Juho, Andres, lots of different dynamics, lots of great players. Let's take a look at these prize cards, see if there's anything super important. There are a few of those Ancient Booster Energy Capsules and a Future Capsule there for Juho, but this looks like it's going to be a pretty good game. No detrimental prizes.
And very fitting here on Juho's side, we do see actually a few Portuguese cards in his deck, probably from that prizing that he got at the Latin American Championship. So kind of cool to see that Milne Sphere here, CX over there. And then on Andres' side, a couple of big Entity Capsules. Both players working with okay prizes, I would say.
Well, Freya, this is going to be a great match. Again, putting the stakes on the line. The winner of this match will advance most likely to the final match. I mean, both of these players are at 34 points, so guaranteed the winner of this will make it into the top 8 cut. And that is a big stakes. Let's get into it. Round 15. Juho Kallama up against Andres, David Torres. We'll see who's going first, and it looks like it will be looks like Andres is going to start things off, and a great way to start the turn. Does have Artisan, can put that Stadium into play and search out a non-Dual Box basic Pokemon from Andres' deck.
Yeah, going to be great. It's going to get maybe like another Dunsparce, or could even get yourself like first Roaring Moon. Of course, you want to get these out so you start attacking and start doing your setup. Of course, is it Vengeful Fletching or
yeah. Vengeful Fletching, of course, that attack on the Roaring Moon, doing 70 damage, plus 10 more for each Ancient card in the discard pile, so we'll be keeping our eyes on how many Ancient cards Andres is able to put into his discard pile. It's really, in this deck, not necessarily to take a big one-hit knockout, but it is a great attacker, especially into something like this Iron Crown that is Dark Weak.
Okay, I just learned something today just now. This Dunsparce has free retreat.
It does,
I had no idea.
You know, Dunsparce, he's been setting up the board, strike and run, doing some attacks, setting the board up, but he's finally learned to be a little bit quicker now that he found that new evolution. He learned how to evolve thanks to Scarlet and Violet. Juho will be kicking things off, going second. This is exactly what you want with this Ancient deck. You want to attack, play your supporter card, at least get some damage into play. This Roaring Moon with that Ancient Booster Energy Capsule does have 200 HP, so if Juho can deal enough damage in combination with something like the Peak Acceleration and an Ampy very much, over the course of 2 turns, he can take 2 prizes.
Yeah, I mean, with 200 HP, if you have a Future Booster Energy Capsule on an Iron Hands and then free Iron Crown down, you can actually take a one-hit knockout on this. I mean, it's going to be a lot to put together on one turn, but not impossible, mind you. Yeah,
you've got to really be careful about the Iron Crowns in this matchup because, again, they are Dark Weak, so that means that something like this Roaring Moon only needs to have something like 4 cards in the discard pile that are Ancient. Very, very easy to do. Not going to be a trouble at all to take a knockout onto this Iron Crowns. And the way that Andres has really built this deck has things like Counter Catcher, has things like Prime Catcher that are going to make that fairly easy to accomplish.
Yeah, you can put it all together, and although going for that Miraidon first, just as the main sort of backup option to say if you do miss the attack with the Iron Hands, the Peak Acceleration, of course, is a great first turn attack just to get those energies going, get yourself set up nicely, and maybe have an easier time getting a KO with Iron Hands later on. But does have that Iron Hands good to go as well. Going to attach an engine to it. Okay, so already going for the commitment, but just going to pass.
Yeah, wow, really has nothing in hand. No supporter card, no way to get this Iron Crowns out of the active. If Juho had one of those Future Booster Energy Capsules, could at least use Peak Acceleration and put some more energy cards into play. play, and this is not the hand you want to see on your final match where you need everything to go right to put yourself in a spot to close a match out, get those last 3 match points, and Andres just putting the aggression on, discarding a Dark Energy, and finding more of these pieces out. If Andres can build up to 4 cards in the discard pile that are ancient, he'll be able to deal enough damage to knock out this Iron Crowns and take a huge prize lead in this matchup.
Yeah, and the problem is, it is exactly like you said, you do not need a lot of cards. It's only 4 that you need to take knockout because of that Dark Weakness on the Iron Crown, and with Juho unable to retreat it, Andres has a big opening here to take a very early 2-prize lead.
Let's not forget Earthen Vessel, though it is used in a lot of decks, it is an ancient card, so that is card number 1 here for Andres. Is going to just mark everything over so we know. And there is a Professor Sada, so that will be the second card in the discard pile. Can Andres find something like an Ultra Ball or another way to discard some ancient cards from the hand?
Oh, I think I saw an Ultra Ball.
Okay, so we're at 2 cards right now. Are there 2 ancient cards? A Trekking Shoes, that's a great way to maybe discard an ancient card, build one more up, but Andres is not slamming in the discard pile right away and is actually going to keep it as it's one of those dark patch away for him to continuously power up Roaring Moon.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to get rid of that. There is that Ultra Ball there, although I don't know if there's actually enough ancient cards in the hand to make this work. Can just go for the Ultra Ball to discard 2 Dark Energies instead. That's not going to get the KO.
Yeah, but you know what came down on that first turn? That Dunsparce. So if there's a Dunsparce there, which we are going to see grab, that runaway draw, this is what could potentially allow Andres to these remaining pieces, see maybe a couple more Trekking Shoes, some ways to discard some more pieces. We've seen some really interesting inclusions in some of these decks. There isn't anything like Superior Energy Retrieval, but let's take a look. 3 cards. Do we see something potentially like a Dark Energy with this Radiant Greninja that it looks like was drawn to maybe dig a little bit deeper? Of course, that runaway draw does force you to shuffle Dunsparce back into the deck. Let's see what else there is. There is a Radiant Greninja. I think what Andres is considering is, do I just go and try and draw more cards? It feels like you would be at such an advantage to find these last couple of ancient cards. So we'll see Dunsparce come down into play, but actually there hasn't been an energy attachment yet. So I think this is a smart choice from Andres. Just put on a little bit of pressure, and you have to take a sigh of relief here if you're Juho. You haven't had this Iron Crowns get knocked out, but this is a big top deck too. Find something to bail yourself out, and it is an Arven. That is exactly what you need. Juho would have been in a world of hurt if he didn't find that piece.
A huge top deck there from the Arven is now he's completely bailed out, and now he'll be able to set it up where you can find yourself a Techno Radar, you can find a Future Booster Energy Capsule. That is the perfect top deck that turn.
This game would have most likely been over fairly quickly if Juho was not able to find that Arven. You see an interesting inclusion that's in this deck, that Technical Machine Crisis Punch. That's not something we've seen a lot in this deck, but listen, 280 damage, that's really solid, and you know what's better than that? You can boost that damage thanks to the Iron Crown's ability to, if you've got 3, deal 340 damage, knock anything out. Hold on here, Juho might have some of the new technology that's needed, and I'm sure he's used that card along his road to get here to this match.
Oh, that is so cool to see. So that is a way, because, you know, one of the things that maybe there's sometimes this future box set can struggle with is, of course, if you're dealing with a big Charizard EX, there's not really that many easy ways to get one knockout on it. Crisis Punch solves that problem.
It will be the Future Booster Energy Capsule and a Electric Generator. So if we see some energy off the Electric Generator, the way it stands with just 1 Iron Crowns in play, Arm Press is not able to take the knockout, but again, I think Juho's biggest concern here is just making sure that some of these Pokemon get powered up. And an interesting choice there, too, to maybe not grab. Oh, there is another Iron Crowns in the hand. So Juho could just be trying to get a little bit aggressive here. Let's see if this hits 2 energy cards. If it does, he can attack here with the Arm Press. Just needed 1, but finds the 2 energy, putting them onto the Iron hands, and that's going to be great later on if he wants to use something like Amp You very much on the following turn.
Wow, a phenomenal draw there from Juho, and yeah, it's, the Electric Generator really sort of paying off in maximum fashion there. And with that, yeah, Juho can just hit the KO on this Roaring Moon.
Yeah, it will be perfect math. 160 base damage from the Arm Press, and 2 of those Cobalt Command abilities. Even has something like this Heavy Baton. This is, I think, the choice for Juho. Now, the weird thing about Heavy Baton is if a Pokemon that Heavy Baton is attached to is knocked out by something like Frenzied Gouging, you don't get to keep the energy cards. That's not how it works. It has to be knocked out by damage while it's active, and that's why I think Juho is just going to hold off on using this tool. As it stands, there is a chance that Andres got a pretty small hand size. Getting a Roaring Moon knockout is going to be pretty tough. We are just going to see Arm Press deal 200 damage. Juho is the one taking the first prize card due to Andres just not having enough ancient cards. Now with this Roaring Moon being knocked out, there are 4, but feels a little bit late than you really wanted it.
Yeah, I really would have liked that last turn to take that easy KO on the Iron Crown. So instead, going to be over to Andres to see how he can respond here. Unlike the Iron Crown, Iron Hands cannot as easily be KO'd by a Roaring Moon, so might have to rely on that Roaring Moon EX instead that we do know Andres does play 2 copies of.
Yeah, that would be big here. You'd wipe all 4 energy off of that Iron Hands EX. Now, of course, you do have to damage yourself, so if there even is something like a future, or rather an Ancient Booster Energy Capsule, Miraidon can get there if there's one more Iron Crowns EX or another, future Booster Energy Capsule. Jeez, I am talking about capsules way too much. All right, you know what? Whoever designed these capsules, I want to have a word with them.
I can't forward you to the right person there, I'm sorry to say, Ethan, but...
I think they're gone, right? Because they're either in the future or the Ancient who designed that.
Yeah, you know...
Enough lore, you know what? I'm getting myself trapped up. Yeah. We are just going to see that Professor Sada, and it looks like, did find a Roaring Moon EX, so energy going onto Roaring Moon. And if there's something like a Dark Patch, which there already is in the hand, did keep that off the trekking shoes. We see another energy card there, then this Roaring Moon can attack, but I don't think Andres is sitting on a whole lot of cards, except he does have this to Dunsparce. Let's see, are there an energy card? And yes,
there's an Earthen Vessel.
The Earthen Vessel and has the Dark Energy in hand. And I think if Andres has all these pieces, especially with this Ancient Booster Energy Capsule, we could see Frenzied Gouging remove all of these energies and this Iron Hands EX from play and swing tempo back into Andres' favor.
That would be an absolutely devastating turn there from Andres, and Juho will be left with, yeah, absolutely nothing. How do you even respond to Juho there? I guess you just have to hope that you can hit well up another Electric Generator?
Well, the way it works is Peak Acceleration can get a knockout even with the Ancient Booster Energy
Capsule.
Is
true,
so it's dealing 40 base damage, and then 2 Cobalt Command abilities will push it to 80, so then if you have a future Booster Energy Capsule or one more of those Iron Crowns, you will get there, but you know Juho's hand is very poor, had to play all those cards out and didn't even grab something like a Pokegear for the following turn. Really banked off of this Iron Hands EX, at least being able to take one more prize card, but it's going to go down. Andres just adding insult to injury, has the Radiant Greninja to draw even more cards, and actually we're not going to see, it looks like, the knockout onto this Roaring Moon EX. I mean, I feel like in this spot, yeah, maybe you assume your opponent's going to knock you out, but you know that Juho most likely top deck that Arven, so do you really think that off of the prize cards or in combination from his top deck, he's going to have the pieces needed to knock it out? I feel like you take that gamble because even if Miraidon does take the knockout, this is still a good spot, but actually, Andres is going to use the Counter Catcher. Okay, wants to get some usage out of the Counter Catcher while it's still active. Of course, you can only play that card if you have more prize cards than your opponent. So Andres will still be taking 2 prize cards, but just not through the form of Frenzied Gouging.
Yeah. And I guess this does make sense as well because, of course, you're essentially denying Juho extra damage buildup from this. These decks don't tend to play a lot of recovery cards. I mean, looking here at Juho's list, I don't think I see any Super Rod, for example. So every single Iron Crown you knock out is a guaranteed 20 damage less that Juho can do for the rest of the game.
Yeah, but another great top deck there for Juho did find that Techno Radar, so can replace this Iron Crowns. So I think this is a good play for Andres, but Juho is going to just be able to get some more Pokemon into play, take a knockout onto this, and it feels like we are just in the same spot we were last turn where Andres has got to figure out if he wants to go for this Frenzied Gouging or if he's just going to want to maybe make another pivoting play. We saw that Concealed cards actually drew into a Prime Catcher as well, so maybe this is Andres' play. Gust around, take knockouts onto these Iron Crowns, and then for that final knockout, use Frenzied Gouging, and that 200 damage you do to yourself, there's really no drawback to that.
Yeah, no, because at that point you've won the game, so the game's over, so you can't be knocked out back. So yeah, makes a lot of sense to me. There is the Techno Radar being played now. That will be a third Iron Crown being fetched, and another Iron Hand as well for good measure. I imagine Juho's probably going to bench both of those, and that way we'll be able to make use of that Heavy Baton to actually... Oh wait, no, sorry, there was a Discard Pile, so no, there's not quite enough yet in terms of Iron Crowns on the field. Electric Generator comes over first, and Psychic Energy does not work off of Electric Generator, unfortunately, so yeah, it's going to be a miss there.
Yeah, I mean, you really need to see this. I mean, for Juho, you're kind of in a pretty rough spot. I mean, you can take an Arm Press knockout, you're going to go to 4 prizes, but then you're just tied up, and Andres has got a pretty solid route to taking these last 2 prize cards. Prime Catcher, knockout, 1 more of these Iron Crowns, and then from there, just got to use Frenzied Gouging with one of these Roaring Moon EXs to knock out this Iron Hands.
Yeah, but very crucial find there of the Heavy Baton just to make sure that some of these energies stay in play. But now, of course, like if Andres does come in with the frenzied gouging, that would be the perfect time to do it, because as you mentioned, that would go sort of play around the heavy baton and make sure those energies do get knocked off the field. But it looks like it's just going to be another arm press KO instead.
Yeah, and Juho went to 0 cards in hand, so the only card for Juho is just that one prize card taken. There's some great options there, but I don't believe any of them were taken off the prize cards, and Andres just having a very solid hand can build it up even more with concealed cards, and it feels like Andres is starting to run away with this game because of how unresponsive Juho has really been able to put things together. You're not playing supporter cards every turn, and these Iron Crowns are dark weak. Andres may have a pretty solid edge in this matchup, and it's showing here so far.
It's not a great feeling when your deck is built to take 2 prizes off a small Pokemon, and instead you're using the bigger attack to take 1 prize off of 1 prize Pokemon.
If you're Juho, there's probably a giant wave of despair going over your head. You're so close to making it back to the top cut. 1 match away, but as it stands, this is not happening. And this also works too. Take the frenzied gouging now. You know this deck is typically not playing anything like Professor Turo or Penny to pick up this damaged Iron Crowns, and then from there, Prime Catcher plus Energy. That's a winning combo for Andres to win this game.
Yeah, Andres is playing this superbly right now. So navigating the prize map exactly the right way to make sure that Juho has the minimal amount of chance to make a comeback. And yeah, if you're Juho, what do you do here? You have to hit another generator and pray, I guess.
Yeah, I think the reason that Andres is probably using frenzied gouging this turn is there's a world where you target after this Iron Crowns, and then Juho is able to put together a play where he plays something like his own Prime Catcher to bring up this Roaring Moon, and then knocks it out. And then from there, you've got to put together another Roaring Moon EX. Why not just use this now? Why not take this knockout? Even if Miraidon responds and knocks you out, you're still in an excellent spot. Especially with this board, there's double Dunsparce in play, which means 2 runaway draws can be used, and there it is, frenzied gouging, knocking out the Iron Hands. The Heavy Baton will not be activated because it was knocked out via just a straight up effect instead of damage. So Juho is really going to be forced into using that peak acceleration as the attack for this turn.
Yeah, and not only that, of course, peak acceleration, it will get the KO. And wait, what was that?
Top deck research. Okay, big time top deck. I mean, in this case for Juho, you need any help that you can get. So having this energy means that you can play this Professor's Research, but it's not something like an Iono.
No.
I'm sure if Juho had a choice of a top deck, it would still have been this Iono. Research is better than nothing, though. I think it's just considering how to sequence the rest of this turn. And this is a smart play here from Juho, is going to use Artisan and maybe grab out this Miraidon. This actually protects him against something like an Iron Bundle that Andres is playing. I mean, who invited Iron Bundle? He thinks he's part of the team. He's not part of the Ancient team, okay?
Yeah, you know, he can have Ancient can have a little bit of the future as a treat.
I think he's just got kicked out by his friends. His future friends told him he's not part of the club, and now he's trying to become an Ancient. But it doesn't work that way, buddy. You can't be part of both teams.
Sorry to say, but in this instance, at least, it seems like he picked the right team, because Andres is definitely running away with this game, even with these top decks. Yeah, Professor's Research, absolutely crucial top deck there from Juho, but can it find him the means to get back into this game? He's going to need a lot.
Let's see what he can find. Does find a counter catcher, but even if you play counter catcher, the way this works out, you go to 3 prizes, and then Roaring Moon can just use that frenzied gouging attack again. It would knock itself out. Juho would take 2 prize cards, but Andres would take all of his prize cards. Juho would be left with just 1. So I think Juho is pretty much pipelined into taking the knockout onto this active Roaring Moon and hoping that Andres doesn't have the pieces needed to win this game. And you see him already putting down the Prime Catcher and the Dark Energy. He knows that things are pretty much wrapped up in this game.
Yeah, you're playing absolutely right. Of course, you can attack with the Miraidon. That will kind of deny the 2 prizes he's made from Andres if there's no gusting option. But there is a gusting option, and we already know that. So Andres just kind of sitting on his laurels, just waiting for Juho to announce his attack so that he can go Dark Energy, Prime Catcher, good game. Let's move on to game 2.
Some cool things in both of these decks indeed. We are just going to actually see, okay, we've got some more action from Juho. Does have that electric generator, so hold on, there's a potential route here where if Juho had put an energy card onto this Iron Hands, then there could have been a route to maybe go ahead and do this, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything, unfortunately. So Andres has things wrapped up. We'll see this Roaring Moon fall. The Dunsparce has free retreat, can come into the active spot, and Energy plus Prime Catcher will give Andres David Torres game number 1 in this final Swiss round.
Yeah, huge congratulations there to Andres on taking a very convincing game 1. And yeah, wow, the power of Roaring Moon and the ancient gang coming into force.
Definitely a lot to reflect on. Has that Yokohama 23 t-shirt on. I'm sure he wants to also have that 2024 Honolulu, Hawaii shirt coming up. He was actually just 1 point away from qualifying before this weekend, and he's got plenty of excess points, win or lose here in this match.
Yeah, plenty to lose indeed. I mean, this is the absolute nail biter. I mean, if you're Juho here, I mean, you're one game down. You can't lose it, right? You have to put yourself back together. You know you can win this match. You've got 2 more games to try and recover to make it into top 8. But in the meantime, let's take a quick look at back at game 1 and just see the decisive moments there. And I think it really just came down to the fact that Juho was just not able to get any meaningful KOs with the Ampy very much. Both times he has to take a single prize KO with the arm press. And at that point, you're just trading 2 prizes against 1 prize. It's just not going to work out well.
So far, round 1 going to Ancient, but this is a best of 3, Freya. Don't count Juho out yet. There were some pretty poor draws. Now, albeit that was the first turn of the game, there really wasn't much going on in that situation. Actually, I think that was Juho going second and just wasn't able to do anything. So maybe this is a lot different of a matchup if Juho gets that turn 1 peak acceleration, maybe sets up for an Ampy very much down the line, maybe gets some more pieces going, and hopefully with this mulligan that Andres has taken so far, looks like multiple mulligan cards here potentially. Juho is going to be able to put together a strong turn. We'll just go ahead and check if Juho is going first or second. And it looks like, yes, Andres will be starting things off. Juho going second here in game 2.
Yes. So, and it makes a lot of sense, of course. This future deck, you really want to be going second. You want to be getting that turn 1 attack. Either if you can pull it off with the Ampy very much, with the Iron Hands, or of course just that peak acceleration with the Miraidon to get energy into play. Either way, you just want to attack as soon as you can.
So we'll see how both players set up. I think Andres is more than okay to go first in this matchup. He can draw some cards, get some things set up, and hopefully we will have a great game 2 and potentially a third and final game. I would be more than happy if this set goes the distance. Let's take a look at the prize cards. 2 Professor Sada in the prize cards. It's a big way you can power up these Roaring Moon. So we'll see how that comes back to affect Andres, but we are jumping into game number 2 for Juho and Andres. Starting things off with an Earthen Vessel, so we'll get to check the deck, see what cards are available. Also getting those Dark Energy in the discard pile to be brought back with things like Dark Patch, Professor Sada, lots of different options. Yeah.
So it's always great when you start with that Vessel turn 1. Like we mentioned in game 1, of course, it's not just the fact that it gets 0 energy out of the deck, but it is an ancient card in and of itself. So just by playing that Earthen Vessel, that is 10 more damage already that the Vengeful Fletching is doing. So it's just an absolute boon to this deck.
So we'll make sure that both those energy cards are going to go to the hand. We'll be interested to see if Andres has any other Pokemon in play. It's always scary to just have one Pokemon, because if Juho can maybe hit a few electric generators, this could be a completely different game. So let's see what there is. Okay, there is a Roaring Moon EX. It looks like potentially some more cards for the following turn. So for now, Andres is more than content, and this looks like a lot better hand here for Juho. Does have an Arven and the Future Booster Energy Capsule. So at the least, we'll be seeing a peak acceleration this turn, possibly power up some of these Iron Hands.
Yes, definitely off to a much better start here. Is pretty much the perfect turn 1 card where with that Arven already looking to grab a couple of future Pokemon there. So imagine going to be grabbing that Techno Radar and then a future Booster Energy Capsule. Arven's such a good fit in this deck. Just being able to, with the amount of tool cards you have access to, especially with how important the future Booster Energy Capsule and the Heavy Baton are, you just pick the right one at the right time, along with doing your setup with that Techno Radar, and you're going to have a look through to see what is available to him, finding that Techno Radar, the Hadar Technological rather, and then having a look through to see we should see if it goes for the Heavy Baton or for the Future Booster Energy Capsule straight away. It looks like it might be the choice of the Heavy Baton first. Oh, of course, does have 2 Future Booster Energy Capsules already in hand, so probably not much point in grabbing a third.
You could always just grab something that you know you might not need later on, just as a card to maybe discard with this Techno Radar, and that's exactly what it's going to be. Really not valuing Crisis Punch. You don't need to deal that big damage at the end of the game. Just use that as discard fodder, and Miraidon and Iron Crown's EX will hit the board. We'll most likely be seeing a peak acceleration to end this turn for Juho.
The Crisis Punch, not really for this matchup, of course, really mainly there for like the bigger HP decks, like we talked about with the Charizard EX, but plenty of damage modifiers that will be enough to KO Andres' Pokemon in this instance. So just going to be going for that Techno Radar. Has the Miraidon. Thinks about the Iron Hands, but no, just going to go for that Iron Crown instead.
I think Juho is just thinking about how the math is going to work knockout in this situation. So you can now deal 60 damage to this Roaring Moon, which means with just 1 Iron Crowns in play, you can take a knockout with Ampu very much. And maybe that's what Juho is thinking after this game. How can he potentially make a board state where he limits the total amount of Iron Crowns EXs that are put into play? That's just going to be 1 for now. 60 damage with Peak Acceleration and 2 Lightning Energy going onto this Iron Hands EX.
Oh, actually, no. A Lightning and a Psychic, interestingly enough. I guess maybe in this instance, not valuing the attack on the Miraidon, of course, the second attack. We have seen it be relevant a couple of times, and just for being a 1-price stacker with that Sparking Strike, but maybe not in this instance.
Yeah, getting the Psychic is actually a smart choice from Juho because he doesn't really value it in this matchup, and it's also an energy card that cannot be grabbed off of Electric Generator.
Absolutely.
So it's just a way to thin it out and just slightly increase your odds. You want to do everything in your power to make odds favorable. So it will just be a Professor Sada's Vitality. So there are now 2 Ancient cards into the discard pile. We'll need 4 to take a knockout onto this Miraidon.
Yeah, and should be able to get there without too much trouble, although, I mean, we say that now. In the last game, we did see that Andres did end up being 1 card short, so let's see if he can get these 2 more Ancient cards in discard pile and take a KO on the Iron Crown, or even on this Miraidon on the active. It's the same number either way, right? It's either 4 to knock out the Miraidon or 4 to knock out the Iron Crowns, but if you can put that together, then Andres could be off to a very, very strong start. So let's see how this pans out for him. We do see the Dunsparce going down, but of course, no to the Dunsparce this turn, given that he cannot evolve straight away. And oh wait, hold on. Is Andres not got much else going on? Yeah, only 2 in there. Oh, that maybe Andres might be a little bit stuck of his hand, actually.
I don't know if there's any energy cards. There is an energy, but how much is it really worth hitting this Miraidon for just 90 damage? It feels like maybe it was just better to put your energy card on one of these bench Pokemon to just preserve it for later and then take knockouts onto this Miraidon later on. This 90 damage, it's just going to continue to scale. By the time you're maybe knocking something out next turn, you're going to be up to a higher count as Juho has another Arven in hand, can get some more energy into play, and it's going to be that Electric Generator trying to see if he can get to Ampu very much to take a 2-prize knockout this turn.
And as long as Juho hits just 1 Lightning Energy off of this Electric Generator, he will be able to do it. I do believe there was another Lightning already in hand, so just 1 needed off this Generator if he wants to pull off this Ampu very much, and then Juho will be the one in the driving seat for this game.
So we'll see these players getting into this match. There is the Electric Generator grabbed off of Arven. It's going to come down to this. Will luck be on Juho's side? Will we see Ampu very much capitalize on Andres' slow start this time? It seems like the script has completely flipped. Juho, really struggling in game 1, has now gone full throttle in the second game. And there's no Lightning Energy. Did not find the piece he needed. Everything else was going his way. And now Juho will have to sort of take an adjustment on how he wants to go about this. Do you Peak Acceleration again, put more aggression on, put more energy into play? Or do you just use something like an Arm Press to take the knockout onto this Roaring Moon?
I think that's Arm Press is something that he's going to want to avoid. I think we saw in the last game just how much it really didn't help him. Just taking these 1-prize knockouts with a 2-prize Pokemon is kind of what really came back to bite him. So instead, with the Future Booster Energy Capture on the Iron Crown, actually can take a KO on this Roaring Moon with the Peak Acceleration. And I think that's going to be a little bit of a better trade for Juho.
Yeah, absolutely. Forgot about that Booster Energy. So because there is no Ancient Booster Energy, it will be a knockout. And the question now for Andres is, how is this hand looking? There's only 1 Professor Sada left in the deck because 2 of those are in the prize cards. And I think this is a situation for Andres where if you don't have anything, there is a valid argument for just picking your cards up and going to the next match, especially with how favored things felt when he was first going through. But it looks like Andres has some cards to play with. First that Dark Patch, and it looks like there is a Dunsparce. So these will have to be a pretty big 3 cards here off of this runaway draw. Don't know if there's quite the pieces there. There's now 3 cards in the discard pile that are Ancient cards.
I think I saw a Boss's Orders, even. I think I saw Giovanni Boss's Orders, and if that's the case, you can bring up that Iron Crown and take a 2-prize KO, and all of a sudden, you're trading very, very well.
But what else do you have to follow up the following turn? It's going to come down to what this hand looks like, and it looks like there are a few pieces, something like the Earthen Vessel that can get rid of maybe one of these Ancient cards in hand, like the Future, or rather the Ancient Booster Energy. Now we are up to 5 cards in the discard pile that are Ancient cards. I think there's also an Ultra Ball in this hand, so if Andres really wants to, he could maybe grab Radiant Greninja, go and get some more draw power with concealed cards, and honestly, I think that's what you gotta necessarily do in this situation.
Yeah, you need more draw power at this point. You're kind of stuck. We're not doing much. You don't have a single Dunsparce out to maybe put another Dunsparce next turn. So yeah, going to play that Ultra Ball. Doesn't need that many energy in the hand. In fact, engine Discard Pile sets up nicely for a future play with Stardust Vitality, but going to need to get either another Dunsparce or, as you mentioned, that Radiant Greninja to start seeing more of the deck, because the draws are just a bit too slow right now, and that follow-up to this is so important, as you already mentioned.
So shuffling the deck up, you'll get 2 more cards off of this concealed cards, but it's looking like things are going all right here for Andres with the start. Does find the Roaring Moon, Trekking Shoes. We'll see what this one card is that Andres wants, if he wants to keep it or get rid of it, and it is that Explorer's Guidance. So Andres has a little bit of a choice here on what he wants to do. Go after this Iron Crowns or play something like the Explorer's Guidance to just dig a little bit further through the deck and also discard some more of those ancient cards.
Yeah, I think in this instance, now that you have the draw for next turn, yeah, you're completely fine playing the Boss's Orders. You want to trade as much as possible, and if you're trading to 1 against 2, eventually you're going to win that race, and that is exactly how Andres won game 1. So definitely you want to continue that strategy, and Boss's Orders KO on the Iron Crowns, and Andres now takes the lead.
And that's one of the advantages you have to playing something like Dark Patch. It's a way to accelerate energy onto these ancient dark Pokemon without having to use your supporter card. Typically this deck that plays ancient Pokemon, the ancient toolbox deck, doesn't play a lot of Dark Patch, but Andres making the smart decision this weekend to include 4 copies of that card, and now Juho has no Iron Crowns in play. It's Miraidon and Iron Hands, does have energies onto it, and now the counter catcher is valid. We'll see this go after the Radiant Greninja due to that weakness and the future booster energy. You can see Ampu very much take 2 prizes to knock out this Greninja, and Iono to put Andres down to a lower hand size. Not necessarily sure. I mean, Andres didn't show that he had another supporter card this turn. You are necessarily giving him a +1 in terms of cards. So Andres is probably okay with this pending what he draws, but not so okay with Ampu very much taking 2 prizes this turn.
Yeah, and especially considering it's 2 prizes on something that, is one of the few outs that Andres would have to draw more cards. He did get it down last turn for exactly that purpose, but not anymore.
This is a crazy 5 cards. Juho found a Nest Ball for the Iron Hands and 2 of those Electric Generator plus pieces for next turn, like Prime Catcher, Arven. I think there's lots of pieces for Juho, and I think is going to maybe just spin the wheel here a little bit with this Electric Generator. If he can power up another Iron Hands, it means something like a Frenzied Gouging would be responded to by a 3-prize turn, and that would put Juho onto a position where he can just straight up win the game. Does get an energy off the first one. It's definitely what you want to see. If Juho can at least get 1, maybe 2 energy next turn, we'll be in a super commanding spot.
Yeah, very important as well, because we do see that the Iron Hands and Yatters does have a Future Booster energy capsule on it. There is no heavy baton, so no energy preservation going on if this Iron Hands does get KO'd. So very important to find as many energy as you can off of these Electric Generators. We do see there's another one in the hand already. Maybe he's going to find it off now. Yeah, he is. What does he find off this one?
We go 5 more cards, and there are 2 Lightning Energy. That's a huge find. That means a single attachment from the hand next turn would prevent something like this Roaring Moon EX on the bench from getting away, taking a Frenzied Gouging knockout. And because of how Andres has designed this deck, there's really not a whole lot of ancient cards. I mean, I'm doing a quick count here, seeing what we have, and I believe there's somewhere around maybe 20 total ancient cards between the whole deck. With everything that's already happened, I mean, you're going to need to have 16 of those 20 or so ancient cards in your discard pile, and this early on, that's pretty unrealistic.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. So, bearing that in mind, does Andres now try to pivot to, as he did in the first game, trying to get KO with this Roaring Moon EX?
Well, the problem with that is, as I said before, a single energy attachment from Juho means that he can just amp you very much and take the knockout back. And
he's only got 3 prizes left. Oh my goodness, yeah, you're right. Of course, that single prize knockout at the beginning actually be really important, because you're 2 to 3.
And Andres has really nothing in this hand, has to play this counter catcher, bring up the Miraidon on the bench, and now Juho is sitting on 2 fully powered up Iron Hands EX. Let's see what Juho has. I believe he's got really powerful pieces in hand, does have an energy card and a Prime Catcher in the hand. This ancient booster capsule can be attached to this active, and if there's something like a Techno Radar to grab 1 more of these Iron Crowns EXs, that means something like Arm Press, followed up by another 2-prize turn the following turn, will give Juho this second game.
But this is very clever here, because the way that Andres has played this out, he's attached Ancient Booster Energy Capsule both the Roaring Moons. And now because of that, this forces Juho to go for the Iron Crown. But maybe it said, no, okay, just going to use Prime Catcher, bring up this Dunsparce.
Yeah, I like this play a lot. It's going to put Juho to 1 prize card. And being at 1 prize, there's now so many ways to win the game. something like a Techno Radar will give Juho the game at this point.
Yeah.
There are just so many rounds. And Andres can't just hit this thing with a Roaring Moon EX, because from there, then you bench a bunch of Iron Crowns EX, or even you just hit it as it is, and you're in the same spot you were in the previous turn. Juho is in an excellent spot, and I think is even just considering playing this Techno Radar right now. He knows Andres is sitting on just a 1-card hand. This deck doesn't play any ways to disrupt the hand, so we'll just see the Nest Ball potentially find something like EUIC, but I feel like if you're Juho, you've got to have some sort of an idea that your opponent isn't playing Disruption, and it's probably okay to just grab the Techno Radar, hold it, and then next turn, play it down to win the game.
And this is such a clever way of playing it from Juho's side as well, because he recognized that in the game 1, he put down too many Iron Crown EXs, and those were able to get easily knocked out by Andres' attackers. So in this, it's just going about and actually grabbing nothing off the other.
Just grab the Nest Ball. So it's the same thing because there's 2 booster energies. So we're just going to see this play. Double booster energy and Nest Ball in hand. I think Juho is trying to set up a checkmate scenario. Down goes Dunsparce. Amp you very much. Now, Andres, I feel like you just pick your cards up here. There's really not a great way to win this game out, but he's still just going to play things out. The clock slowly winding down. These matchups have been super fast-paced, but we're at just over 16 minutes left in this round. Andres will still play to his outs, play this Professor Sada, power up these Pokemon, but it just feels like next turn, Juho's got several ways that he can try and clinch this game out.
Yeah, there's no way for you to... I think maybe you can just about clinch a KO here, but there's no way for you to stop, Juho from taking a KO back, because there's just so many different ways that Juho has it, and that's exactly the problem here. They're going to play an Ultra Ball.
Yeah, I mean, if you can power up this Roaring Moon, there is a world where you attack with the Roaring Moon, you deal 220 damage or 100 damage to this Iron Hands, and then that is the one Pokemon on your board that will not be knocked out by an Arm Press. You're going to need to have 3 Iron Crowns EX in play, plus a Booster Energy Capsule, and that's just not feasible for Juho at this point.
No, it's really not, especially given that he's already committed to getting the Nest Ball rather than the Techno Radar. But there is going to be a Dunsparce going down.
Yeah, and this is also a really smart choice to grab Nest Ball over Techno Radar, because it means that if Andres does go for that play, we could see just EUIC come into the play and just draw some cards.
Yeah, absolutely, with that restart ability, a really crutch tech inclusion from Juho there.
And it's just going to be a Vengeance Fletching, and Juho knows that he's got the game here. That Nest Ball or Techno Radar can grab one of those Iron Crowns EX, and Cobalt Command will push this Arm Press up to 200 damage. We are going to a Game 3. Win it in. The stakes could not be higher here.
Yeah, wow. And we saw in Game 1 the ferocious display of the Ancient, and now Team Future is coming back fighting and showing what it can do in return. Absolutely phenomenal display there from Juho.
So who's going to win? Team Future or Team Ancient? Maybe put your guess in on Twitch chat if we're not already running a poll to see who we've got winning this match. I'm going to put my bet here on Team Ancient for this last match. Juho is a great player. He's an international champion, but the weakness on the Iron Crowns and all these ways to gust up, it just feels like if Andres sets up as he should, he's in a really good spot in this matchup. But it was really just the weak start, that Iono disrupting, and also having those Professor Sada in the prize cards that led Andres to have an okay start. He was able to at least attack a little bit with Roaring Moon, but kind of just fell flat from there.
Yeah, kind of fell flat from there, and especially with Juho very cleverly playing around, sort of trying to do a game plan that basically involved not using Iron Crown EX, because, I mean, it is one of the main parts of your deck, of course, but because it's so weak to Dark, if you can find a way to take these knockouts whilst not using it, suddenly you give your opponent a lot less options to do their own prize map, and that's exactly how Juho managed to claim that game.
Yeah, really good adjustment. Understood that having Iron Crowns in play is sometimes a necessity, but if you can really avoid it like Juho did in that game, put yourself in a very solid spot. Generators were on his side, draws were on his side, so I'm very interested to see who wins this Game 3. It truly could go back and forth. It could go either way, because there's the dynamic of, does Juho put the crowns into play? Is he able to make a strategy where he doesn't, or does Andres maybe put on a little bit of aggression and is forced to put Juho into a situation where that does have to come down? We'll see the prizes. There is double heavy baton. Now, in this matchup specifically, it's not super important because there's no real one-hits for Andres to take knockouts. But listen, there's maybe a way that this Iron Hands wants to have that if it gets hit by the Roaring Moon non-EX. It's not a card that you really like to have in the prizes. It is towards the bottom, so hopefully it doesn't impact us too much here in this last game.
Yeah, especially because those are his only 2 copies of Heavy Baton as well, so that means he will not have access to it until later on. But it did seem like it didn't bother him too much in Game 2, so maybe he'll be okay.
Things are heating up. We've got to keep mindful of the clock at this point. I think hopefully we are just making sure everything is good. Just figuring out looks like how things are going to play out. I am super excited to see how this final match is going to compete between both of our competitors. There is a lot on the line here. Of course, $7,000 for making top cut, the championship points, the chance at a trophy, the chance at being an international champion. You can see one of these players emerge victorious. Winner advance to top 8. And hopefully, we'll be getting back into this match very shortly. We're just making sure everything is okay, everything is being dealt with, and we'll be sure that the game resumes properly. We'll have some exciting action to come.
And yeah, looks like the judge just kind of looks like we're getting closer to sorting things out here. So yeah, just a quick discussion going on. As if you know, the tension wasn't, you know, as if you couldn't already cut the tension in a knife with a knife, and now we're just sat here waiting for this third game to start. It's just yeah, I'm literally at the edge of my seat. Like, you can't see on camera right now, but I'm literally sat here on the edge of my seat right now waiting for this to get started.
I can confirm. You at home can't, but I can definitely confirm. So, looks like we've got some sort of discrepancy again. I really want to resume to this match. I'm excited to see what is going to happen. We've got some updates from our other matches that we can share. Fabian won his match. He is going to be securing himself a spot into top cut with Gardevoir EX, even after rotation, making it back into top 8.
Yeah, and looks like we're just about ready to go into game now. Yeah, looks like the discussion has been sorted. We are kicking off for game 3. So let's see who's going to join Fabian and Ufa and Tord in that top 8. As we do see Andres here, will be going first.
Yeah, deciding to go first in this matchup, and we're just going to see concealed cards and a pass, so no energy attachment there for Andres. We'll need some help from something like Dark Patch, Switch, some of these pieces to put an attack together the next turn, while Juho has an excellent start, starts that peak acceleration Miraidon, and has a plethora of supporters in the hand, including that powerful Arven. Could grab something like the Techno Radar to get some of these Iron Hands EX into play, or even something like an Electric Generator to get even more energy into play that way.
Yeah, definitely going to be important to see both of those, I think. I mean, maybe the Electric Generator, obviously it is nice, but isn't as important, you know, at this stage, because you maybe just want to lead with the Peak Acceleration, although the Peak Acceleration is getting a knockout right now.
Yeah, and this is where I think Juho has to really decide how he wants to play this matchup up. Do you go all in on looking for an Ampu Very Much knockout next turn, or do you just get some Iron Hands EX into play? And I think that's really the main question for Juho. I think with this Iono in hand, you can afford to grab the Techno Radar now, thin those cards out, and then have a better chance of maybe finding Electric Generator. And I think that's what Juho is going to just do the opposite of, unfortunately. I think it's sort of a weird situation where you can always draw into the Pokemon you're looking to Techno Radar while you can't find the Electric Generator. So I think this makes sense here for Juho.
Yeah, it does. It definitely, like I said, multiple different ways you can go about it. But in this instance, going to go for the Electric Generator, whilst I guess there's the most amount of, the largest amount of energy in deck possible to maximize the odds of hitting off the Electric Generator. We do see there's only a couple energy in hand, so there should be a good chunk still in the deck to hit off of this. As we do see, yeah, firing off the Generator. How many does Juho get?
This is what it comes down to. Let's see if there's a double hit, and there is. That's huge for Juho. That means there is going to be potentially an Ampu Very Much next turn. You see Andres just kind of sighing back at his chair saying, come on, in my most important match of the event, you're going to hit all these energies off of Electric Generator, and just like that, Juho will hit this Roaring Moon for 60 damage, and that is a perfect number because with an Ancient Booster, or rather with a Future Booster Energy Capsule next turn, Ampu Very Much can knock out this Roaring Moon.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. It's just a phenomenal start here from Juho, as again, finding that Psyche Energy, knowing that you don't really need to attach it to the Miraidon, and has got that Ampu Very Much ready to go for next turn. But Andres off to a good start as well with that Explorer's Guidance.
Yeah, but the problem here, looking at this list here for Andres, is there's really no ways to switch out of the active spot. There's no
you're right.
Switch card, there's no, rescue board. So with how things stand, Andres is essentially conceding these 2 prize cards from an Ampu Very Much, and instead is going to just try and grab 2 important cards. Lots of important ones hitting the discard pile at this point. We are just going to see Professor Sada. We've got the Nest Ball in hand, and I mean, this is all you can really do here if you're Andres.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to attack this turn unless you can find some miracle combination of a bunch of Dark Patches, but I don't think Andres has that in hand from what I could see, so just going to be a Nest Ball instead, and I imagine probably going to grab a Dunsparce here.
Yeah, a little bit of a trade-off. You kind of grab the Nest Ball to get a Dunsparce out of your deck. We'll see exactly what happens. So Dunsparce comes into play. See Andres shuffle up, figure out what his next move is. But I mean, if it's letting this Roaring Moon get knocked out, you really don't have a lot of great responses because Juho just gets another turn to put Iron Hands EX into play, start attaching energy to it, start using more of those pieces. And I think just as a last-ditch effort is just going to try and buy some time with this Ancient Booster Energy Capsule. As of right now, Juho does not have his own future Booster Energy Capsule. And I think the thought process now is, are we going to see Juho maybe use this Prime Catcher in hand to try and take a 2-prize knockout that way with Ampu very much?
Well, yeah, of course. I was literally just about to drag this forward here with maybe you bring the Greninja forward, you take, like in the last game, you take away that draw option, and as they're doing that, Andrew's just covering up the Greninja with his hands like, they say, no, don't take my Greninja, I need that for next turn. But it would definitely make for a good play this turn, but maybe, no, just going to go for the Ino instead and save the Prime Catcher for later.
I like this here. Right now, Andres only has that Roaring Moon EX into play, and it's really not a Pokemon that you want to super damage, especially if Juho can get another Iron Hands EX powered up from these 6 cards. There's a Techno Radar. Is there an energy attachment? There's not. I feel like that was a piece that Juho really wanted to find in this situation, but it's okay. You could still take a 2-prize knockout because there was that ancient, or rather that future booster energy found. It's going to be perfect math to knock out this Roaring Moon.
Yeah, going to be a 140, which, Andres tried his best. He did put the Ancient Booster Energy Capsule on, but not quite enough with the Future Booster Energy Capsule. And that, of course, means that, again, Juho, like in Game 2, has been able to find these KOs without putting down any Iron Crown EX. And that is going to really do serve him well.
So Juho taking the first 2 prizes in Game 3. We're just under 8 minutes left in this round. Andres did get a new hand thanks to that Iono. Played on Juho's side, does have a copy of that Dunsparce, as well as some energy to discard, draw some cards with that Concealed Cards ability. He's really just looking for potentially some more of these Ancient Supporter cards, something like that Professor Sada, to power up some of these Pokemon on the bench. We are also going to see the Artisan, so this will shuffle the deck, so it means that some of those cards at the bottom will get shuffled and mixed with the cards all throughout the deck. But it will also grab a Pokemon. It is going to be that Dunsparce selected.
Yeah, it's important small sort of subtlety with Iono, right? It's come up a few times before where you think about a card that searches the deck as just, oh, you just search it for nothing. But when there's a card like Iono played, you know those cards are on the bottom. Suddenly a card like Artisan and Esport becomes important, not just for finding something, but making sure that those cards are on the bottom of the deck are accessible again because you get to shuffle the deck, and then those cards are no longer guaranteed to be at the bottom.
This is going to be exciting. Who is going to win this final match? And Andres does have that Professor Sada's Vitality. He can put 2 Dark Energy onto both of these Roaring Moon, the EX and the non-EX. Draw 3 cards, and what great cards those are. Another energy card, Dark Patch. The Dark Patch can't be used, and there were actually no Dark Energy in the discard pile, so that was a big find there for Andres, and still has more with that Dunsparce in the hand, and we are going to see that get evolved and that ability be used.
Yeah, so the ability to use for free cards drawn, and then of course that Dunsparce is going to run straight back into the deck, and but now the other Dunsparce coming out, and again that free retreat is probably, I think that's been the biggest mind blow moment of the entire tournament for me, just realizing that this Dunsparce has free retreat. So not only is it a great draw option with the Dunsparce, but then when it's not evolved, it's a great pivot too.
Things are getting intense. I think Andres is really just looking for a way to put a good attack together, because yes, you've got this Roaring Moon powered up, you've got the Roaring Moon EX, but there's still no way to take a knockout with something like Frenzied Gouging, and I have to imagine that's what Andres is looking for. Can he find Dark Energy to discard? I'm sure that's what he's looking for. If he found a Dark Energy off of either of those trekking shoes, they could have been discarded, Dark Patch could have been used, and that final energy was put on, but I feel like you slam it if you're Andres here, and he did not find a Dark Energy off of either trekking shoes.
But of course, that goes back to the same problem you mentioned earlier, right? Even if you can find the knockout here with the Frenzied Gouging, then you just get knocked out right in return with Peak Acceleration. So it looks like I said, just going to be a Prime Catcher, bringing up the Miraidon, and I guess Vengeful Fletching is going to take a KO here.
Yeah, it does have another Ancient Booster Energy Capsule, so if Juho now wants to knock out this Roaring Moon, we'll have to put a Iron Crowns EX into play, but Andres has only taken 1 prize card. It's Juho's turn, and he has the prize lead, plus a fully powered up Iron Hands. Maybe this is the situation now where you are okay to put Iron Crowns EX into play. Juho is really showing us how this matchup is played.
Yeah, and of course, going to discard that Counter Catcher, not going to be useful right now. Juho is currently ahead in the game. So instead, of course, that Prime Catcher that wasn't Juho's hand before did get shuffled back to the bottom with Iono, so that's not going to be an option either. But yeah, I think in this instance, maybe now you recognize I'm, head enough in the game that I can go for these Iron Crown EXs, I can put them both down, and then now I can really start to just, race for these last prizes and seal my spot in top 8.
And we are in full Iron Crowns mode. 3 Iron Crowns coming to the hand. I think they're all going to hit the field and finally cheer on their teammate, their future brother, that Iron Hands EX. And thanks to that Cobalt Command ability, as long as there are 3 Iron Hands EX, or rather 3 Iron Crowns EX into play with this future booster energy, AmpU very much can knock out this Roaring Moon and put Juho 2 prize cards away from potentially, or rather securing himself a spot at a back-to-back top 8 in an IC.
Yeah, and look at the whole team is here now. Another Maridon there for good measure too, just for more peak acceleration later. And a Professor's Research for good measure. My goodness.
Excellent, and let's not forget, Juho has yet to use his H-Spec Prime Catcher, so that is still a card available for him. Things are looking excellent. There's 2 prize cards lined up this turn and multiple ways to take 2 prize cards the following turn. Even has an electric generator. How many energy he's going to hit? Just a 1, but that's still fine. You still have another copy or 2 of electric generator left, and every energy that you can get into your board, it truly does matter.
Yeah, it really does, and especially because, yeah, sure, maybe, you want to take the last KO with 2 prizes with Ampy very much again, but if you can just hit a 1 energy off of another generator, then you can attach one from hand, and then, I think you should be able to put enough damage onto the board to just take the last 2 prizes by KOing a Roaring Moon EX with Arm Press.
That math could definitely work out, and there it is. AmpU very much. Roaring Moon goes down, Dunsparce comes up, and now if you're Andres, you're down 3 prize cards. The board is looking great for Juho. All these Iron Crowns in play, boosting the damage. And if you knock out one of them with the baby Roaring Moon like you did the previous game in Game 1, all that Juho has to do is just bench 1 more of those Iron Crowns and use 1 final AmpU very much to amp his way in to the top cut.
And that is Juho. I'm sure he can taste it. He's thinking, I am this close to doing back-to-back top cuts at international championships. He is going to make sure that he does everything he can to cement this. He is not going to get complacent at this point. 2 prizes left to go, but he's going to pay extra close attention to what Andres is doing here. And Andres, in the meantime, is thinking, hold on, I am this close to making it. I do not want to give up now. I'm going to play my heart out, and I'm going to make sure that I can do everything I can to try and make a comeback here.
We will see. We will see indeed. You got to dig into your bag of tricks. You got to think about, what can I do? Andres' back is up against the wall. The doors are closing in. There's no way to disrupt this hand. Juho just played that Professor's Research, played 1 card from the hand, and just held on to everything else. But this is what Pokemon is so interesting. This is why Pokemon is the game it is. You've got to play to every single out you have, play to every single option. Andres has got to really just dig deep, think in the tank, lock in. How is he going to get himself back into this game?
I'm going to start off with a concealed card, maybe to find 2 more options. Okay, I think maybe it's debate whether it's been used, but no, not been used this turn yet. 2 cards found. Looks like there's an Earthen Vessel and an Explorer's Guidance. Gonna use the Vessel.
So this isn't over necessarily just yet. If Andres can find a way to get 16 Ancient cards in the discard pile, we could see this Roaring Moon knock out this Iron Hands EX, and there is no Heavy Baton on this Pokemon, so the energies will not be transferred over to any of these bench Pokemon.
So this is definitely what Andres is going to be digging for. It would be great if we could get an idea of just how many Ancient cards are in the discard pile. We do see Andres has a little separate pile on the side. It does look pretty thick, but I don't think it looks like 16 cards right now.
I don't know if it's 16 cards thick, Freya. That's what I think I would have a little bit more of a feeling. And I mean, you've got lots of ways to draw cards. There's the Dunsparce. Looks like there's potentially an Explorer's Guidance in the hand, so we're just going to see 3 more cards drawn. Okay, Earthen Vessel, that's ways to discard cards.
And
Sawdust Vitality, okay. This may be what Andres needs to potentially keep himself into this match. I mean, if Andres can maybe find a way to take a knockout with this Roaring Moon and bring up the Iron Crowns, but it's still the same situation.
Yeah.
1 more of these Iron Crowns will be enough damage boosted up for Juho to take the final 2 prize cards.
Yeah. It's absolutely down to the wire here, but Andres doing everything he can to have 1 last chance at securing a spot in top 8. Going to take a look through the deck, see what is left. So we do see 2 more Dark Engines coming out. There are a few more Ancient cards in the deck. We see a few more Ancient Booster Energy Capsules, a few more Pokemon, but finding those Earthen Vessels is going to give him the best shot he can to try and get here.
There are 5 Dark Energy in this hand. It's not necessarily what you want to see.
No, not at all.
We're seeing the energy put onto this Roaring Moon EX, so this makes me wonder, what is the play? What is the line here for Andres? How are you going to figure this one out? Trying to see the discard pile. It looks like there's maybe 11 or 12, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It looks like around 10 cards in the that are ancient in the discard pile. I don't know if Andres has what it takes to get all these cards in the discard pile. It's going to be the Professor Sawdust, so we'll finally see this Roaring Moon EX get powered up. But if you use Frenzied Gouging, you're pretty much conceding a knockout, even with a booster energy, an ancient booster energy. The Cobalt command ×3 means that peak acceleration will deal 100 damage and knock you out.
So I guess the only other option, and this just came to mind because Andres did destroy it, do you counter catcher an Iron Crown and KO it instead? That is an option.
You could do that. I think if you can combine that with one of those ancient booster capsules, that would put you at 290 HP. That would make it very hard for an Arm Press to take a knockout. There's no way, even with all the boosts, Arm Press would cap out at 260 damage. It looks like Andres is just really looking to find that. I think there was only one copy of that ancient booster energy, and it did not get found off of that Professor Sada.
Yeah, that would have been exactly what he was looking for, but unfortunately not able to find it. So that does mean Juho will still have an okay time, maybe trying to find a return knockout. I mean, with one more Iron Crown gone, there's like less damage course that you can do, but it looks like Andres maybe instead thinking of pivoting now that he knows that the ancient booster engine capsule isn't there. Gonna Ultra Ball first and discard another Roaring Moon. And I mean, you could surely discard one of these Dark Energies, right? You have so many in hand already. Oh wait, no, you can discard another Explorer's Guidance. That's 2 more ancient cards in the discard pile.
Yeah, but I don't think it's 16, Freya. Not quite sure Andres has exactly enough to take a knockout. I mean, this deck isn't designed to really knock out these Pokemon. It's designed to just poke early on in the game with the Roaring Moon and then finish these Pokemon off later on. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
No, it's not gonna do it.
3 ancient cards short. You see Andres counting up. Is it enough? Is it enough? It's not. I think it's just 2 cards short, actually, of getting this.
Short.
16 ancient cards plus the 70 base damage. But I don't think there's... Oh, is there a way to discard 2 more ancient cards?
Wait, there's a...
Oh, he's 1 card short!
With the Earthen Vessel in the hand!
5, 6, 7, 8. I think with the Earthen Vessel, there is 1 fewer card available. It's just going to be the counter catcher up onto this Iron Crowns. There's no ancient booster capsule. And here we go. I think Juho is in a spot to close this game out. Andres is doing all that he can, but it feels like it's all just a little bit too short. If there was 1 more ancient card or that ancient booster energy, we would still be having ourselves a game, but the options are slowly fading. Andres is looking to maybe play another energy card down, make sure that everything is powered up, maybe play something like the Super Rod. We'll still see the Dunsparce hit the board, and this is all that David can do. Andres is just going to Calamity Storm, and there's the boss's orders. Wow, that is it. Juho is going to back-to-back international championship top cuts, still with Miraidon, a different Miraidon. You know what? Miraidon got him there the first time. Will it get him there the second time?
Boss's orders, amp you very much, and that is all she wrote to Juho. The back-to-back top 8 set internationals. Wow, what an amazing set. A huge congratulations to Juho on an amazing accomplishment.